Okay, good morning everybody. I hope you're all well. And what we're going to do today is we're going to move on to mass movement. Now, mass movement will be new to you, and yet it will also be very familiar to you because we live in an area with lots of mountains, and while we don't see all types of mass movement, we see lots of them. Today what we're going to have a look at the factors that affect mass movement. So what is mass movement? Mass movement happens when large amounts of rock and soil move down a slope quickly. Now, that rock and soil is loose or becomes loose because of weathering and erosion, and it's known as regolith. So when regolith moves down a slope because of gravity, that is mass movement. And we have different types of mass movement that we're going to be looking at. So the new words from this that I want you to have a look at, that I want you to take down all of this as notes, are regolith, which is loose material produced by weathering and erosion, and that would include scree, which we looked at in freeze-thaw action. Gravity, so gravity is the force that attracts everything towards the center of the earth, and it's basically the thing that when you drop something, it will move towards the ground and not up into the sky usually. Okay, so the first one of the factors that we have to look at when we are thinking about mass movement and thinking about where landslides or rock falls or bog bursts happen is gradient. You don't see those things happening on flat ground. They happen where there's a slope, and gradient refers to the steepness of a slope. The greater the gradient, or the greater the steepness, the steeper the slope, the more likely you are to have mass movement of regolith. Now, if you are looking on a map for an area where mass movement could happen, you are looking for an area usually upland. So usually the color would be brown or a darker shade of brown, and the contour lines would usually be very close together. Now you can get some sorts of mass movement that we'll go into in the next class on lower ground that is steep, but don't worry about that till the next class. Another thing that can be quite important in causing or influencing mass movement is water content. The more water that there is after falling as rain or other precipitation or melting as snow or from snow, the heavier the soil and the regolith becomes. Heavier things tend to move downhill, down slope faster. The other thing about water, and all of you will know this from if you're out climbing a hill, if it's been very wet, it can be slippy and difficult to climb a hill. So water can also act as a lubricant, and this makes it easier for the regolith to move down the hill. So heavy rain or melting snow can cause mass movement and are an important factor in terms of mass movement happening. So we're going to have a look at that in terms of our bog bursts and our mudslides when we're looking at our different types of mass movement in the next class.